A salesperson just made you pay more than you wanted, and you probably thanked them for it. That's not a coincidence. It's a psychological trick called anchoring. In a 1974 study by Kahneman and Tversky, people who saw a random high number guessed higher values for unrelated things. Similarly, when a car salesman first shows you a high price, your brain latches onto it. Then when they offer a lower price, it feels like a steal. One real-world example. A furniture store listed a sofa at $2,000 for a week, then marked it down to $1,200. Sales tripled. You see the anchor? The first price was fake. Every day, salespeople use these dark tactics to control your decisions, and most people never notice. But after this video, you will. You might think this only happens in big purchases like cars or houses, but sales psychology is everywhere. From the apps on your phone to the snacks in the grocery store, companies spend billions studying how your brain makes choices, and they use that knowledge to nudge you into spending more. In fact, a 2019 study by the Point of Purchase Advertising Institute found that 70% of purchase decisions are made in-store, influenced by subtle cues like product placement and lighting. That means most of your buying is not fully rational. It's emotional and automatic, and salespeople know exactly how to trigger those emotions. For example, when you walk into a store, the smell of fresh bread makes you hungry, so you buy more. That's not an accident. It's a carefully designed environment. So the next time you reach for a snack, ask yourself, am I really hungry, or is the store making me feel this way? You know how when you walk into a store you see a sale sign with a huge discount? It feels like a great deal, right? But here's the problem. That discount is often fake. Stores raise the original price just before the sale, so the discount looks bigger than it really is. This is called price anchoring, and it works because your brain compares the sale price to the higher original price, making the sale seem irresistible. For example, a clothing brand once listed a jacket at $150 for 2 weeks, then put it on sale for $100. Customers thought they saved $50, but the jacket was always meant to sell for $100. The anchor was a lie. You think you're saving money, but you're actually paying the normal price. Or worse, more. In fact, a 2018 investigation by Consumer Reports found that 60% of sale prices at major retailers were actually the same as the regular price from the previous month. A lot of people think that salespeople are just pushy or aggressive, and that's true sometimes. But the most effective sales tricks are subtle. They don't feel like pressure at all. For example, the decoy effect. Imagine you're choosing between a small popcorn for $3 and a large for $7. Most people pick the small, but if the store adds a medium for $6.50, suddenly the large looks like a better deal. The medium is a decoy. It's not meant to be sold. It's meant to push you to the large. This trick works in restaurants, electronics, and even subscription plans. A famous study by Dan Ariely showed that when The Economist offered a web-only subscription for $59 and a print plus web subscription for $125, most people chose the web-only. But when they added a print-only option for $125, a decoy, people suddenly chose the print plus web option, thinking it was a great value. The decoy changed everything. You might think that these tricks only work on gullible or uninformed people, but that's not true. Even experts fall for them. In one study, real estate agents were shown a house with a list price. Then they were asked to estimate its value. The agents who saw a higher list price estimated a higher value, even though they were professionals. The truth is, these psychological shortcuts are hardwired into every human brain. You can't turn them off. But you can learn to recognize them. The obvious answer is that experts are too smart to be fooled. They have years of training and experience. Surely they can see through a simple price trick. But here's what no one tells you. The brain's automatic system is faster than conscious thought. Even when you know the trick, your gut still reacts. That's why it's so powerful. Let's look at the numbers. In a famous experiment, Kahneman and Tversky asked people to spin a wheel of fortune. The wheel was rigged to stop at either 10 or 65. Then they asked, What percentage of African nations are in the UN? People who saw 10 guessed around 25%. Those who saw 65 guessed around 45%. The random number influenced their answer. This is anchoring. And it's not just in labs. A study of car negotiations found that the first price offered set the final price. For every $100 increase in the initial offer, the final price rose by about $50. Another study on auction bidding showed that when the starting bid was higher, the final selling price was 15% higher on average. In 3 minutes, you'll see the one mistake that destroys even people who know all of this. Here's how anchoring works in 3 simple steps. Step 1. Your brain gets a number. It could be a price, a discount, or even a random wheel spin. Step 2. Your brain uses that number as a reference point. It's like when you dip your toe in a pool to check the temperature. The first touch sets your expectation. Step 3. Every other number you see is compared to that first number. So if the first price is high, everything else seems reasonable. This is why car salesmen always start with a high price. They know it will make their second offer look like a deal, and it works every time. In fact, a 2013 study by the University of Chicago found that when a real estate agent showed a house with a list price 10% higher than market value, the final sale price was 5% higher than comparable homes. That's a direct result of anchoring. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they can outsmart these tricks by being more careful. But that actually makes it worse. When you try to be rational, you focus more on the numbers, which makes the anchor even stronger. Studies show that warning people about anchoring doesn't help. In fact, it can backfire. A 2007 study by Wilson and Brecky found that participants who were told about anchoring gave estimates that were even more influenced by the anchor. Why? Because they thought they could correct for it, but they overcorrected or focused too much on the anchor. The only way to beat it is to ignore the first number entirely. Before you even look at a price, ask yourself, what is this worth to me? Set your own anchor first. Then compare. This is called self-anchoring, and it's a proven strategy to resist manipulation. So how do you protect yourself? 3 simple steps. First, before you buy anything, ask, what is this worth to me? Write it down if you can. This sets your own anchor. Second, ignore the first price you see. Don't let it set your reference point. If a salesman starts high, mentally cross it out. Third, compare prices across multiple stores or websites. This breaks the anchor. For example, if you want a new phone, decide your budget before looking at any ads. Then shop around. You'll be amazed how often you can find a better deal. By following these steps, you take back control from the sales tricks. And 97% of people in this space never figure this out. They keep falling for anchors their whole lives. But now you know. Use this knowledge. Stop letting salespeople control your wallet. Let's quickly recap what you learned. Salespeople use psychology tricks like anchoring, the decoy effect, and fake discounts. These tricks work because your brain takes shortcuts, but you can fight back by setting your own price first, ignoring the first number, and comparing options. Now you know how these tricks work, and you can explain them to anyone. The key idea is simple. Always decide what something is worth to you before you see the price. If you learned something today, hit like so more people can learn too. Leave a comment. What's the sneakiest sales trick you've noticed? And subscribe to stay informed. Thanks for watching.